Hello, world! Welcome to Code or Not to Code. I'm Mili Eva. I'm really happy to be here today. And of course, I have Stefan here with me. How are you doing, Stefan?
I'm doing great. It's about to code again. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fabulous. I'm fabulous. I'm really looking forward to learning something new today again. For those of us you who are new to this channel, this show, we are two coders. One of us with a lot of experience, and one of us with very little. I'm sure you'll be able to figure out which one is which in no time at all. Um, and together we're trying to learn from each other and coding live here with you. Currently, we're building a .NET tool, which is supposed to be able to count usings and then also globalize them, meaning making them global usings and putting them into a separate file. But before we get into all of that, let's have a look at what's new in the tech world. Let's have a look at our newsflash section of the show. What have you got for us?
So the news that I have this time is that there has been a new newsletter from the .NET Foundation, and in the June newsletter was the announcement that recently there has been a new, is it yearly? I think it's yearly, yeah, board election, where for this for the next iteration there is 3 outgoing directors of the board and 3 new incoming directors to the board of the board of directors of the .NET Foundation.
Nice.
And if you want to sign up for the newsletter yourself, you can go to .NETfoundation.org and hit the sign up for newsletter and get your monthly dose from the .NET Foundation.
And if you're part of it, are you able to vote yourself as well?
Yes, only members in the .NET Foundation
Ah,
can
nice.
vote. I think
Did you vote?
I'm not a member yet. A friend of mine
Oh,
told
okay,
me I
okay, okay.
should become a member. I guess it's on my task list to basically click on become a member and fill out the form. Why
Nice.
I think it's there is different memberships. I think there is like a project membership when you actually have a project that is part of the .NET Foundation, or teaching memberships, or organizer memberships such as meetups and user groups. And
Nice.
I guess I will be clicking this form soon.
Right
But
after the
perhaps,
show.
but
Perfect.
perhaps you too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, cool. Yeah, we have this show like quite regularly every 2 weeks. And if you want to sort of like keep up with our content and see what we're doing next, or if you want to just, like talk to us in any way or shape whatsoever, please give us a follow on Twitter. Yeah, we post fun stuff there, and we're always really, really interested in what you guys think of our work, what we could improve, what kind of topics you wanted to see, what you really liked, what you didn't like any kind of feedback is really, really welcome here at To Code or Not to Code. So yeah, give us a follow. Yeah, reach out to us. It truly makes our day. All right, are we ready to jump into the code?
Always.
Yes, perfect. Let's have a look at where we kind of left off last time.
We have integrated. I hope this squiggly goes away soon. Does it?
Nice.
No,
We've
not
got
yet.
compiler
But it
errors.
says, there we go. Yeah. It was
Yes.
from our doodling just before. What we did in the last episode last week was we have added the package system.command line that is helping us to build a command line tool. Our .NET tool is then installed. Later on, when we publish it via NuGet, it is installed and started via the CLI, via the command line, via any terminal. And we have been using system command line to facilitate the app logic. We started with a root command. We added some options like an about section and an info section, and we also added the two features that we have. So the counting of usings feature and the globalization of usings feature to this command line tool. where we then basically get a hold of the options and arguments that are passed, arguments such as uh, the path to the project, or also the name of the using that we want to globalize into from a local using directive to a global using directive, and then actually executing the app logic, where eventually then when we jump then into the code, we basically via Roslyn's via MS Build Roslyn, we load that project and then eventually call into the logic of our code, like the using globalizer. And if we jump into that, this is code that we've written in like 10 episodes before, which checks, is this indeed a C# project? Is it? We have several checks of, is it a generated code, and eventually then does the logic. And all of this is very uh, I think we didn't do code coverage yet, but ID for a future episode. But we should have solid coverage, and all of our tests are passing, so that's great. So on a unit test level, or on a logic level, that's cool. But on the infrastructure level that we built up with system.command line, where we add all those options and those arguments, we have no test coverage at all. And this is now the content of today's episodes, where we will be writing more of an integration test thing that tests the infrastructure of our application, because the logic is pretty well tested already.
Great. Let's dive right in actually. Because okay, we've got pretty good unit tests. Are the integrations just going to be much more difficult, or is it going to be like? Do you think it's going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy?
I'm thinking about before I come before I am able to answer precisely. Akil says hi,
Hello.
and
Thanks for
also
joining.
you're salty devil.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining. And this bought me enough time to come up with a good answer. I think the answer is yes, but it's always hard at the beginning, and once we figured it out, it becomes well easier. I guess when we came up with a bit of an infrastructure to our tests that we then can reuse, authoring tests after this episode will be much, much, much easier.
Good stuff. And as always, like if you want to contribute, if you have better ideas than we do, please let us know in the comments. Yeah, we're always really grateful for your help. Eggplant in training is here. Hello.
Also, a work colleague of mine is joining. Thank you very much.
You working with eggplants in training?
I am
What?
working with eggplant in training, indeed.
Nice. Very good. um, all right. I think you already had like a bit of a starter bit for integration tests, right? Didn't you write
Indeed.
something at some point? That's really good.
So
This looks
let's
nice.
jump
Is this?
to the using counter tests. But so
Yep.
far, we have quite skipped this test. So let's get rid of the skip, which now means that they
Okay.
become part. So we actually see this here also in Visual Studio, that this test is skipped. Now we can actually run it, and it should fail dramatically because nothing is wired up and such. And it
Nice.
does. And it said, okay, it's actually giving us, because we expect that the exit code, because what we
Okay.
have here is basically then invoking our command line application, where the input is the arguments that we pass in later on via the command line. Now in the tests as a string array, and then it returns an exit code or a return code, which is, if it's 0, it means success. If it's non-zero, it means any error. It could be also some error codes. Maybe later on we do some error codes where it indicates that maybe error code 512 says that the file wasn't found, or something like that. But now it isn't. So it's actually, the error code is 1. So some error happened, but
Nice.
we don't know which error. Well, I guess we haven't set up anything, so this may be quite the issue.
Okay, fair enough. But at least, I can see some, because, okay, spoiler, this is like sort of the first time I'm actually sort of doing this kind of stuff, but I can already see a range, act, and assert, and this
Oops.
feels very familiar from the unit tests that we wrote. So that's really, really good. So I suppose let's arrange. What do we need actually for our test?
Mhm.
As it is an integration test, I think we're actually like changing a file, like for real, right?
Well, later on with the globalized tests, indeed, because they do manipulate the project. They take
Ah,
the usings and remove them from local. You know what? Let me take a look. Let us take a look at the unit tests to give this more of a feeling, where we have some unit tests in place where we want to globalize the system.collections.generic, for example,
mm-hmm.
and it is in the input. It's still there, but then after we run our globalization tool, it's gone. So it's no longer there, but it has been moved to an additional document. So
Nice.
we change it from a local using directive in this document to a global using directive that is applying now to the entire project. So this is actually manipulating the project,
But
but
the
the
counter, yeah,
counter isn't. So that's
yeah,
basically read only. It only analyzes what is there, but doesn't manipulate the project. So we are the using
yeah.
counter. We now basically just have to test the output of the tool. But then afterwards, I guess in the second half, then we have to, with the globalizer, actually see if the project has changed physically.
Okay. So you want to start with, I suppose, tests for the counter, which is again,
Mm.
if you if you're new to this show or this tool, yeah, it's literally like a command, like you count, you give in a project, and then you literally get in the console, you get like a list of usings, and then also the number of times that they occur in the project, and then you can like choose to globalize them or not. So okay, so this is kind of, yeah,
Something like
as you
this. So
said, we don't.
we pass in the command using. Now the using command has the subcommand count. We also pass in the project that we want to count the usings on, and then as a result, get those usings. Yeah.
Nice. All right, so let's arrange that.
I
Kind
think
of already is pretty well arranged, isn't it? We got a
yes.
project path, we got some arguments. That looks pretty good. I like
Per-
that.
Perhaps the I'm not sure. The file isn't. Perhaps the file isn't found because I'm not sure where the current working directory is when we run these unit tests. So we
Oh.
actually need to find the correct file. We do have our project set up.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. So we do have a project on the test that we actually want to count those usings at. So this project physically exists, but we need to actually find it first. So perhaps the path that I chose here is actually maybe wrong. Mm, Perhaps we could, but we only get some error. We get error code one.
Okay.
This could be anything. Maybe we write some code that. Mm, can we write some code that understands if the file is found, then returns a specific. If the file isn't found, returns a specific error code, because what I also had a bit closer look at the system command line tool. What happens if this file doesn't exist? I change the
Mm-hmm.
name to a different one. I remove the E here, so this file isn't found. Now what's happening is it throws rather late because it now says, okay,
Wow.
file not found. This is now actually
Oh,
in our somewhere in our code already. But there is actually there is system command line has a feature. So what we do have here is an argument of the file info, and we can add some validation to it. What we can do is project argument dot, I think, is it exists only? There it was. We can say existing only, which is some extension method that adds a validator,
oh,
a file exists validator. And if we would run this now, then it says, this file does not exist. So there's now an error that actually comes from system or command line.
okay.
But I'm not sure if this is anyhow helpful.
Yeah, but how can
Sorry.
we catch this error? Because we still get only like 0, 1, right? Or no?
Yeah, I think so. Let's run this, and I believe yes. Okay, so this is not really helpful
Can we do
unless you
like,
would.
if this is the error, throw 2? Not
Um,
return 2, not throw 2. If this error
perhaps
is wrong, return 2.
we cannot
Ooh,
navigate
no.
to this validator.
Okay.
Perhaps we could write our own validator that then, I'm not sure what a validator, we add a validator, that's a validator result. And then the validator could perhaps then set the exit code somehow. Actually, let's take a look at the documentation. Validation, model binding, I think. Validation, parameter binding. Use custom binder. Set exit codes. Is there no validation? I thought there was. Customers help. Custom validation and binding.
Nice.
Okay, we could have a custom error message. And I think this result may also have a custom exit code. Like, okay, we could return 42. Is this? I think this is an return an error code or an exit code. Maybe this could be helpful.
Isn't this the number that the computer returns when you ask it what the purpose of life is? Or was that a different one? Nice.
Yes, the answer to, is it the purpose of life? And the answer to everything. From, what was the book? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
To the Galaxy. Is it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I wasn't looking at I was thinking of the German name.
Yes.
So perhaps it could help if we write our own validator. I'm not sure how can we. So
okay, so we want to write
at our option or at our argument, we should be able to say like have an parse argument callback that hold on. Oh no, that actually returns this is not the error code. It's basically an integer. This is not the error code. So this is not the thing that we seek. But maybe we need a custom, maybe we add a validator. And maybe this result, let's have a brief look. If I'll get rid of the existing only, maybe we can add a validator. I was hoping to, this validator is a, now I need to think. So this is a delegate that returns void, but passes in the symbol result, where T is a symbol result.
Okay.
Which I think, so we could say here result. I'm not certain about the type.
Ooh,
but let's see what this type has. Does this now have? Oh, yes. Does this now have something like with exit code or return code? No, it doesn't. I'm not sure if we can actually set a custom validator here. Well, we could also, I guess we could also validate here, basically see if this file actually exists. I'm not sure if this is like the best way, but perhaps it's good enough for now, and maybe later on we figure out how to also do this via validators to return an exit code.
Can't we just like debug the test and then like literally in the first line where we sort of assign the, oh no, it's just a string, isn't it?
Well, actually, yes, we can. So I now set a breakpoint. I will debug the test. In order to figure out if it is the correct path. Yeah.
Isn't that what? Oh, I thought that was what we're doing.
So no, sure. Okay. I haven't thought about it. So what we can do is, well, we do have the full name here. So what we could do, there is in system.io.file type has a, oh, this is big enough, has a exists method. So let's pass this in now via the debugger, pass in the full name to exists, and let's see. Yeah, this actually returns false. Okay, so this file doesn't exist.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Okay. But can we figure out? Can we also figure out the real path here? Can we just trial and error, or is there like, like in the file explorer, just copy path
How do we
to the
build the
file?
correct path? Yeah, I'm quite uncertain. Should have thought about this. Well, we can have a look at what is our current path. Our current path is, how does this work? System.io.directory.current. This is how we get current directory. So we
Perfect.
are on my drive in source tests bin debug. Okay, so we would need to go back until we basically go here to this test folder and then append the project that we already have. I guess this would be the way, because we shouldn't really hard code. We shouldn't really hard code this, because if you check this out on your machine, or later on if you have built this in the cloud, this will be a different path. But so maybe it's good enough for now to get the current working directory, then walk it back until we find what we know is find if the path is ending in source/tests, then we can be fairly certain that we are where we want to be, and then append the rest.
Okay. So okay, but how do we do that? There's like a really crazy idea of what we're about to do in my mind, and I'm very sure it's false. There's definitely like a smart way to kind of, not have this not have this hard coded, but actually, as you said, like just go back until we find something. But yeah,
Let's see what you had in your mind.
no.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm just gonna say what it was. It's really stupid, but
Also, sorry to come
yes.
back to that. Fun fact: the 42 is the ASCII code for the symbol star or the asterisk, a symbol that often translates to anything or everything.
Oh
I
my
didn't know that.
god. Mind blown. And we're what, 10 minutes into the show. Love it. Um okay, okay. Just to explain where I'm coming from, I can see from the path that, like, when you go back, isn't it like a dot, right? It's like dot to go back, correct? Or dot dot? No. Dot is to go back.
Dot slash is basically current,
Okay, and dot
and
is
dot is parent.
the one before. So I had this idea, right? I feel silly saying it, but like, okay, if you have like I actually don't know where I'm coming from, but I thought of just like, a loop, like okay, it sounds like a loop. There has to be a loop somewhere, and we just add a dot until we find whatever it is we want to, until we find this like the route that's always going to be the same. But I don't actually know how to get there.
Let's find out together, and let's actually do that. Maybe there is a more, how to say this, more a way that is more natively supported by the .NET APIs from the
Yes,
BCL. But let's
that's what I
use
was
this
thinking.
approach. Let's use this
Okay.
approach and see if it's actually valid. Because from a logical point of view, it sounds absolutely correct. Maybe let's have a method called find project path, where we pass in. Actually, we pass in the, what do we pass in? Nothing. Let's say, let's call it find test route path or something. And well, we could start from the current working directory.
From the current, yeah.
Yes. So this is on the type directory.
Okay.
I think we should have the directory type is in the namespace system.io. I think we already have system.io imported as a global namespace. You can actually have a look at this. Yes, it is. So we already have this is actually a visual feature in Visual Studio. Writer can do the same thing. When you go to the top left of the file, then you can click and see, hey, what are the global usings that we have in scope. So those are the one that coming from the generated one. The X unit is the one that is in the one that we have defined, and we already have system.io in place. So we can go ahead and just write directory.
Nice. Just directory?
Just directory.
Okay. Oh my god.
And this should have a method called get current directory, which gets the
Get
current working path.
current directory. Nice.
Mhm.
All right. And then we save this in a variable called current
Let's call it current.
directory.
How you like.
Current is fine. All right. And then
So what was your
we
idea
loop.
now? Mhm.
Okay, I was gonna say something like if this current directory does not start with what is it, flash aware or something like that,
Well, I think what we
then
can let's take a
add
look
a
what we
dot.
need. So basically, so this is now so here we are at the root of our repository. Well,
Okay.
depending on like this folder name is already, you don't have to, this could be named differently. Basically what we can, if somebody checks out this repository, we know, okay, where the git direct, where the .git folder is, this is basically the root. So what we can then assume is if we are at a file path that ends in src/tests, then we are where we want to be, and then go to then basically append the location of our project.
Okay, so we actually want something that ends with
That ends
tests.
in src/tests.
Nice. But does that even work? I'm not sure if this works. I'm not very confident in my theory.
Let's check it out.
Okay. So what kind of loop is that? It's a for loop, right? Oh my god.
Well, with a for loop, we
Is it
already
not?
know how often or usually we know. A
Well,
common use
for
case
as
of for loop
long
is
as it's not. Yeah. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So what is a for loop actually compiling down to?
What?
I think it's low. Let me ask the question
Viewers,
differently.
help me.
What I
Who
could
helped me
say
last
it.
time so much?
It takes the fun away. So there is. Do you know that there is multiple loops? So there is a for loop,
Yes.
and
For
also for each
each.
loop that we have used, are there also two other loops?
Do while, right? No.
There is a do while, and
Is there like a while?
there's also Do you know the difference between a while loop and a do while loop?
Yeah.
Let's make endless loops. I'm just making
Nice.
true. So now that we have two infinite loops.
Yes. So the while loop doesn't do anything until something happens, and the do while loop does something until something happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So in other words, this one is executed at least once, and this may not be executed at all, because if we do the opposite, if we make false, so this one is never executed, but the do is still executed once.
Okay.
Which one would you like to use for the traversing logic?
Well, the while loop, because we may already be where we need to be. We probably won't be, but
probably won't be, but maybe. Exactly. So let's go ahead with that.
Okay.
Just cleaning up.
Can I like put here like while current doesn't, so like reverse logic, right? current does not end with.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Current dot ends with.
Mhm.
Nice.
Mhm.
And then can I put in a string or something?
Yes.
So very good. I'm just gonna copy this. If you're a regular, you know that copy pasting is some of the is one of the worst things for me to do in life. What is this? What just happened? I
Uh,
swear I just pressed copy paste.
I
Oh my
think for
god.
some reason I entered it twice. I removed the duplicate.
But also
And
like the slashes
yeah,
are
so
twice.
actually, this is what Visual Studio now understood is that um, because a single slash in a string, a single backslash is actually an escape character. I
Ah.
think that something like I think like backslash a is like now Visual Studio highlights that. I think this is alarm. This makes my computer beep, and there is several like escape characters. I totally forgot them because I rarely use them. So slash is a reserved character, and if we want to write a proper slash, we need to write slash slash. Because
Oh,
what you
so we
actually see
do
here is
need
Visual
it.
Studio's hiring
Yeah.
hiring is highlighting backslash t. Yes, the string backslash t actually means tab, so it makes a tab, which I think is 4 spaces or something.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
And I think backslash n is like new line. So if you want to do a new line, we could say backslash n at the end.
No, we don't want a new line.
And an alternative would be if we don't want to have those escape strings, we could use a verbatim string, which doesn't have those escapes by default, by adding a at the beginning. And now the input is taken verbatim. There are no escapes, so we can now basically have the single slash
Oh,
again.
that's nicer. Okay. All right. And so while it does not end with this, we want to add to so like to have like a to the current, right? We
Mhm.
want to add a few dots at the beginning.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Well, not at the beginning, but at the end, actually, to go to the
but
parent.
at the okay. Because I thought because the dots were at the beginning at the project path that you had above, so I thought maybe at the beginning we
Yes,
wanted them.
but we're actually having an absolute path. I think couldn't get that correct. Actually, gives an absolute path which starts in my drive, or it could be any drive ledger now on Windows also.
Okay.
So if we want to go to the parent, we have it. Then if we do like basically if we have a slash backslash because that's the Windows characters. Actually,
Mhm.
yeah, that's Windows. So this wouldn't work on Unix, but that's a different. We come to that later. Slash b slash c, then do slash dot dot. This actually would
Ah,
be
yes.
this actually then would resolve to if we resolve that string would be ab if we would resolve that.
Nice. Okay. So I'm just gonna do like very basic stuff, but I think we can use a dollar sign to kind of
Ooh,
do like string concatenation.
interpolation.
Damn it. Almost. And then we
String,
need this.
string concatenation is if we just like add 2 strings with a plus,
Yeah.
for example.
Yes, that's kind of what I want to do. But do I need some braces? No, can I just literally go like this?
Yes,
Plus.
I will remove the space, however, because there
Okay.
may not be a space between this dollar sign and the
Mm,
string delimiter.
plus. And then we need do we need do we need dot or do we need slash dot? Probably slash dot dot.
Backslash. It depends. Yeah, there is now some. It depends. Does this end in a string already, or does it not? So does this string already end in this? And now we see it becomes quite complicated and quite manual. Well, it
Yes.
would work. We wouldn't have some logic. Okay, does this end in a backslash already? If yes, just add a dot dot. If no, we need to add a backslash dot dot. And
Yeah.
again, this would only work for on Windows because that's Windows paths. Now on a
Oh
Unix system
no.
or Mac OS, this wouldn't work. So maybe now, so your logic would work. Reversing it and finding
Would work,
it
but it's
would work.
not very versatile or
Yes,
sustainable.
yes,
Great.
and also there is a let's try to use a method that already exists on the .NET on the .NET framework.
Okay. And what's that?
And may so there is so get current directory only gives back a string. There is, however, we can also create a directory. We can say new directory. No, not new directory, because directory is a static. Directory is static. We can't instantiate it, but there is a directory info file, type. And this directory info type can be initialized with a path. So we could create a directory info from the current working directory. And maybe this type has some properties that could get us to the parent if you if you
Okay.
if you get the hint. Well, it wasn't that subtle, was it?
I um so sorry, which type? So like
Try
can I
to
now still go current, or do I have to go directory info
let's
dot?
let's let's explore the API first. So let's try to write a dot here after the new directory info.
Nice.
So see what this if there are any instance methods that we could make use
I
of.
can't see it. Okay.
So
Ooh,
there's like attributes that the directory has. There is creation time. There's an exists, so we can check does this exist. We can get the extension, which on a directory, I think gives like not sure if this makes sense on a directory.
I have
Yeah.
a parent as well.
Woohoo!
Woo.
So we can use so we could convert the string current directory to a directory info, and then have in our loop the directory info working for us rather than the string. Because if we do the directory info and not with low level strings, it's now .NET which needs to take care of the correct Windows and macOS of the current operating systems of the current platforms pathing and so on. So
Nice.
we will let them do the work because they already solved this. Yeah.
Okay. But so does that mean I have to put the whole so okay, what are we putting in the while loop now? I'm confused.
So we could.
We go to the
Well,
parent
so we
of the
still need to.
current. Okay.
I'll go ahead and the current I'll just call now. I basically move the string in here and
Nice.
use this here. So we now have the
Nice.
current is now our directory info. And so how do we now check if the current now doesn't have a
Ends with function.
yes. So
Okay.
we could, but the current has a name, the current directory name.
Directory name. Do we
Well,
have
I think
that?
it's
Or
just name,
like name.
just
Okay.
current.name. So what we
Full
basically
name. We have a full name as well.
full name. Is there also full name would be the entire path.
Okay.
But again, then we would need to take care of some. Well, maybe. Yeah, no. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's use the full path and see if it ends with the string that we wanted. Yeah.
Ends with. And I deleted a string, and I think you did as well. Great. But we can remember it was dash dash. No, backslash. Right?
Backslash. Yeah.
Backslash.
SRC. Backslash test
SRC
for source
tests.
tests.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
But now again, we have some Windows handling in here. So this is again Windows strings. So what we could do is we could basically I'll create a string, or I think we do var usually. Let's call this target. Not sure of a better name. There is also a type called path that allows some path operations, and there is a path.combine. And path.combine takes a params of strings, which now
Nice.
does the string combining on the operating systems. It uses the directory separator. I think if we go down there, which is there it is, directory separator character, which is now platform dependent, so it will do the right thing. So we basically can now pass in this params array those two directory names.
Those two directory names, so src and tests.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And then we just need, what do we need here? Just target.
Mm-hmm.
Target. Nice.
Cool. And if we didn't, I'm just adding another closing parenthesis.
Oh, oops, sorry.
And if it isn't, then what do we do then?
Then we target dot.
So the
No,
target is a string.
Yeah. Is that bad?
Yes, but what do you like to do with the string?
No, okay.
What do we want to do if it's not?
We want to change actually the current, don't we? We don't want to change the target.
But what to?
To whatever we have. Minus, no, actually, I don't know.
Well, this is what we
minus one directory.
Yes, and that's the property that you discovered earlier.
I discovered a property.
Yes.
Oh no! Oh wow.
Well, let's rediscover it.
Let's discover it. Yes. The string concatenation thing. Was that it?
The parent.
The parent. Okay, then I have actually no idea what I'm doing.
So we now.
So are we changing the current or are we changing the target?
We're changing the
Where
current.
am I going?
Yes. The target is the target. That doesn't change.
Current. I got it.
The current changes. Yeah. Perfect.
Nice.
And now, if this is no longer the case, then we actually found it, so we can return the path. Or you know what? Let's return the directory info because we have that type already.
Okay. Oh. So just return current. No,
Sweet.
direct. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see. Okay, now let's call this method.
Nice.
We can say find. We could say string. Not sure. I call it root. It's not really root, but something like this. And now, well, this is actually not a string, but a directory info. Let's change it to var. And now we want to append. So
Yes.
This is also a property that you have discovered earlier. The directory info also has a full name. And now to this full name, which is now actually our full, in my local systems case, the GitHub /overall source test in this case. Actually, it would be here. So with this full path, now we want to append, or maybe we already used the path combine, so we could do this again because we want a string at the end. Then want to go to this directory and to this very CS proj. So let's copy this as a path.
Yes.
And this is what we want to end with. So we basically append. So we are now basically here. And it's the rest that we want to append to the root here.
So that sounds easy. Is there like an append?
I don't think there is something like this. But also we want to go, I don't think so, no. Also we want to, well, we need a string because this will be an input for our command line tool. So we can use again the path combine.
Can it and just do it here where your cursor was, or is this?
No, because path combine is that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist on the directory info. That's a whole new method. So we could do it here. Before setting the project path. Yeah.
Okay. Path dot combine, and then we put in lots of strings. Oh no.
I'll just remove that one because this is actually not correct.
Oh, this is the wrong one. Oops.
Yeah. So we want to start with the thing that we now found.
Root.
But this is a directory info. We need to convert this to a string.
Fair enough. then we do the toString thing.
Yeah, but again, now we have character separator or directory separators in here. We want to not use directory separators so that the .NET Framework can find out and combine this path correctly.
Let's show toString here.
No.
No.
There is a yes, we could do that, but I'm not sure what the toString actually returns. But there is a
Okay.
property. There is a property on that.
Root.name, of course. A full name. We need full
Full
name.
name, yes.
You said it before as well. My memory span is wonderful today.
And let's change now instead of the platform specific directory separators, let's just as we do down there, we have the path combine, pass them as separate strings, and then the path combine method takes care of the correct separators.
Yes, correct. And we need a comma, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Oh, these are also different ones. Oh no, right? No.
No, that's fine. Okay, cool. And let's see if this works out. We do have a question in the chat, but I'll come to that just in a second. Maybe 7.
7 seconds.
See. Yeah, okay, 7T. And that looks correct. Oops. Zoom in and enhance one more time. That looks like our directory. So we found it, and I'm fairly certain if you would check this out on your machine, or later on, we'll do the next episode, then going into the cloud with CI and CD and all of the C's, should work there as well.
The
Fingers
entire
crossed.
alphabet coming up into code or not to code.
So what now happened? So let's take a look at, let's debug and let's see.
Yes.
Because now we should, the breakpoint that we hit previously now should yield the correct, well, it was correct previously, but we passed it wrong, but now the intended project. So if we go to the project full name, this is indeed the project, and it should actually work already. So I think we're pretty good to go. But there is a concern from the eggplant, which is still in training. What if the path doesn't exist in the full path during the loop? So
fair enough.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Because what we also have here is a null. Ooh, hold on. What if the path doesn't exist? Well, let's play this through. So directory get current directory returns a valid path. This should quite work. That's from the framework. So this directory info does exist. And then we basically only get the parent. So all of the projects should exist. But parent returns a nullable directory info. And if this is null, let's jump to the documentation because this definitely words it better than I do. No, it does not. No, there it is. The nice. Parents directory, or null if the path is null. Well, the path that we pass in is not null, so this can't be. Or if the file path denotes a root. So there is no parent anymore. We could make a mistake. Mm-hmm. We could have made a mistake here. Or maybe later on, what if I change this test directory name or the source directory name without changing this code? Now we would run into trouble, and we would go until the root.
Yep.
And then if we are at the root, .parent returns null. Now current is null, and we run here an argument null exception. So perhaps some null handling would be great. And we actually get a warning here. We get a nullable warning right here. Dereference of a possibly null reference. So perhaps we want to add an if check in here. If the parent is null, then we may want to, not sure, maybe throw an exception immediately to say that something was wrong.
Throw new something.
I think currently we always throw an invalid operation exception.
Yes. Do we have that? Operation.
We
I
should. I
don't
think
get
that's
anything.
no. That should be in the system namespace.
Oh,
Should be quite available. No, but yeah. Well, so we could also write system dot. I shouldn't make a difference, but it's case sensitive, so the S must be uppercase.
nice. System dot. Haha. Now I get suggestions that you can't see.
No, I can't have control space. Now we should be now we should be able to get to the invalid operation exception.
Invalid. Oh god. Invalid cast. Invalid operation. Got it. Easy. Nice.
And actually, yeah. So we
And
don't need
also,
get rid of the system because we already imported the
we
system
already have
namespace.
it.
It's
Yeah,
part
fair
of
enough.
the implicit usings. And since this is since we call new, we're calling actually a constructor. Constructor is a method. So what do we know? What do we need every time we call a method? Exactly.
What are they called again?
Parentheses.
Parentheses.
So we have, I think if I recall correctly from next time, the round ones are parentheses or parents.
Yes.
No, parent or parents.
Nice.
I think. Then we have
And
the
braces are the curly ones, and
curly,
the brackets are these ones.
Brackets. And
Yes.
those I think called in the triangle ones. I think are called in Roslyn speak or in C# speak. Less than and greater than.
Okay.
I think in HTML land, I think they're called angle brackets. Maybe we use angle brackets.
Yeah. Or we just make up our own name. Spear brackets, something like that. Spikies.
And let's perhaps add a message, because every exception usually also takes a message to. So let's add a message, something like that we have. Well, we now reach the root, and the root. So what happened is we reached in our loop, we reached the root, which means there is nothing more to find. So we definitely couldn't find. We couldn't find our target. So we could write something like maybe target
not found.
Target not found.
No.
Yeah.
It sounds so like James Bond. Target not acquired. Mission failed. Can we just put mission failed?
Yes,
Target
but
not found.
we could, but I'm not sure if this would help us if we run
No, it
into
would
this
not.
in the CI system. Then, if mission failed would help us,
Mission
error
failed.
messages should be helpful for our future selves.
Can you also remind me why? Okay, so why are we confident that this current path that we're reading is definitely equal, or what is it, deeper than source / tests? Do you know
Actually,
what I mean?
yes. Actually, I'm not. On local system, yes. CI system, well, running with the test runners that I know, yes, because I think the behavior is usually, so the behaviors that I've observed so far is depending on the test runner. Now, if we run it from Visual Studio, it's a different behavior if we run it via the command line. Because if we run it via if we run it via Visual Studio, what we saw earlier is that the current working directory is like here. It's in the tests bin debug something. Because
it's in the bin. Nice.
Because this is I think it stands for binary, not for okay. And we're running it in debug mode, not in release mode, and we're running in the .NET 6 or .NET 7 version. So we actually run both, because here is the exe of the code is actually executed. But if we run it via the command line, if I open a command line here and say .NET test, now the current working directory is actually this. But again, we would find this here. So in the test runners that I currently know, we would find it.
Okay.
But it could be that there is some test runner that I'm not familiar with, which has the current working directory maybe set to some, maybe on Windows it's, I don't know, maybe C Windows temp or something, whatever, if it exists. Now this would definitely fail. And so it could actually, I'm not long story short, I'm not 100% certain that we will always find our target here. We could fail, and this is why this could eventually be helpful. And I would like to add some string interpolation here and say
Ooh.
target not found, colon, and then actually print in the target that we were gunning for. So we see, okay, our source test path hasn't been found. Let's actually simulate this exception. I'll just throw it immediately and see what happens if we run the test. So that we can confirm, okay, this is actually a helpful test, a helpful message if we run into some issues and it says in the operation exception, target not found.
Okay, I like that.
And this was the target. So this could give us now a hint. Okay, source test. Ooh, yeah, this may be related to the testing. We could also improve the message, make it more detailed, but at least we have a pointer.
Okay, fair enough.
Speaking of pointers, Eggplant in training suggests them to be pointy brackets. I've never heard pointy brackets. Is this official,
that,
or is this the new name we should?
I mean, because they do feel like, arrows or like something. Yeah, I totally get it. It sort of definitely points somewhere.
Pointy brackets.
Pointy brackets.
Or is it pointy braces? Or pointy parents? Oh no. well, it is. They are also quite angular. So I guess brackets. They look more like brackets than they do. They are not. Oh no.
But the braces also feel like they point somewhere. They braces feel like they have like pointy brackets kind of included, but like tiny.
Like super. Okay. I don't know anymore. Naming is hard.
We'll need to, we need a guest on our show who's like an expert in this. We can make hours out of this. And I swear by the end of the year, I'll remember the English names for these. I make this promise to myself, to yourself, and to the whole community, because yes, I will remember.
You know this is recorded, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got 6 months. Come on, it has to.
Time is passing quickly. Well, then I should promise I will be able to say alias correctly at any time.
Nice.
What do we do if we fail our promise? We have to dance again.
We have to dance again, yes.
Okay.
Or maybe sing this time. Maybe both.
Okay.
Okay, if you fail like once, it's like if you say it wrong once next year, something like that, you have to dance. And if you say it wrong twice, you have to dance and sing.
Okay.
And then it like resets. But no, it won't happen because we will learn. We will be better next year than we are this year.
2024 Stefan will regret this moment, but okay.
No, 2024 Eva will look back at this and be like, oh my god, she didn't even know the difference between pointy brackets and braces and parents. Don't even know who 2023 Eva is. Don't want to be associated with this will be myself in a year's time. 6 months, I suppose.
Cool.
Yeah.
And this is only, this is not the Roslyn speak that we try to apply, I guess. Maybe another project is called different again.
In 5 years, I'll invent a new bracket and I'll call it Eva bracket.
Nice.
And it will be just E's, just like one E, like this, and then you write your stuff, and then a reverse E to close it.
Ooh, I don't know the character of the
I will not make this promise.
But something like...
I think it's in some languages
content?
you have, and then...
And then the other E, I don't know I'll just do the euro sign for it, but it would be a reverse E, right? Okay.
It could also be like 2 euro signs that are sort of like reversed. That's
cool.
Good. 3 and then this. Yeah, I love it.
Is it an Iba lang? New language? You know
Yeah.
what?
And
We
I'll
could
use it
write.
in all my projects. And then whenever you use one of our Nougat packages, you'll have to deal with it as well.
That's actually quite possible. No, we could write a separate language that then compiles to the common language runtime. So basically, then is compatible with .NET. We could write our own .NET language.
That sounds good. That sounds
Okay,
great, like a great project for next year.
we have content for the next 10 years now.
Yes.
But
Oh yeah, I said in the next 5 years I'll do that. Okay. We've got content. Perfect. Okay, but back to what what are we actually doing?
so
We're writing tests. Okay. No,
the
we've
test
written
is
a
now
test. It's fine.
wonderfully passing, but our assert is now okay. We only assert that it hasn't failed. We haven't asserted that it's doing what we want it to do. And what we want it to do is putting out the, oh, let's run this again. If we pass in using count, it should put out the, oh yeah, I have the wrong path name here. That of course does not work. Putting out this string. So I'll just brutally copy paste this and let's,
Nice.
we want to assert, we usually also put it in this range, right? String expected out is, ooh, I love C# 11 raw string literals because we
Nice.
can format code very nicely. And this is what we expect. But how do we get to that now?
Excellent question. So, okay, we get exit code, which is an int that won't help me at all. What else do we get from our function?
Nothing.
No. Okay, so we don't get anything from the actual method, but so we have to actually get to the output window and read what's in there.
Yes, but this is,
Can
I
there
guess
be
this
like a
now again,
console.readline?
no, because we no, because a read line is then actually reading an input. So what we would
Oh,
need to do is getting a hold of the stream that is written to.
ooh,
And well, actually, I think we could do this. Now thinking about it, we scribbled a different idea, but I think we should, I think we actually, no, I think we can redirect. I think we should be able to redirect the system, the standard system console output. So if we go to the console, because the system console has an out, and I think we can also do set the out to a text writer. So we can have our own text writer. This is not what we scribbled in our dress rehearsal and not in our the end of last stream, but we could give that a try. So we have our own text writer that we write our code into.
I like
So we
that.
basically redirect to our, so we have our own text writer. And I guess it's now time to write our own internal, oops,
Oh.
sealed class test text writer, which implements text writer because this is what the set out actually requires. Then I just hit Control dot to implement the abstract members that we do. Okay, there is some encoding. Not sure if we need that. And now I'm not sure what system.writeLine actually does, because let's have a look. If we do console, oops, .writeLine, what's actually happening under the hood, it has an out, and this out is a text writer. So what is invoked is the write line, or also the write methods of the text writer. That's actually what is write line. Write, okay, and write line now calls into write with just a new line. So I guess what we want to override is the write method, but like the lowest, which is the lowest one. Let's see what we can
Oh my
override.
God.
So we
This
want to
is
override, excuse me?
no, it's okay. There were so many right methods.
Yes.
I got
So
confused.
we want to override. Okay, I think the lowest one. I'm not sure what the lowest one is. Let's
Do a
again
deep
have a look.
dive.
Yeah, it's just wow. I've never explored this really. So if we do right line, we do a right,
Right.
which does another right, and
There,
which
there's
does another
more.
right. So on a
Oh my
on a
God.
character basis. But maybe, maybe it suffices for us to use a higher level one. Maybe it suffices for us to use the. What happens if we actually pass in? Because I think all our right lines usually and pass in a string. Well, there is a string overload. Maybe it suffices to have the right that takes a string. Let's start with that. I guess this would be the easiest. And we override the right string one.
Okay.
But we don't call it to the base, we call our own logic. And now I think you still have the idea from last one. So now we need to store those strings. How would you store those strings so that we can later on assert these?
Um. Uh. Sorry. Store the strings from the console, like the. Hmm. Did you just whisper something?
Yes,
No.
no. I changed it. I changed it from a white into a white line. So let's assume
Okay.
we get in full lines.
Okay.
So we're basically now redirecting the console output
Mm-hmm.
into this method. But now
Yeah.
we want to do something with it so that we can later on then assert that this is actually the full output.
Okay, but this is
So
just
can you
strings. So can
think
we
of
just
something?
do we not just store it in like a variable?
Yes, but what type of variable should we use?
Ah, maybe list.
Let's start with a list. I'm now actually thinking of a different type, but
Okay.
let's start with a list and let's see how far we get.
Um. Right. Where are we? Sorry, I'm just sometimes looking at my screen and on yours, and I didn't follow you there, so I'm just like trying to get to you. But I'm here. Hello.
Yes.
Um. Okay, but we want to put it here, right? This is the method that we are creating. So let's. Is it a private? No.
Hold
Are
on.
we
This
doing a
is the
field?
method. So we can't, within a method, we can't do a field. This will be a local variable.
Ah,
A
okay.
field
So
is in
it's
the scope of a
a
type,
variable.
in
I
our
said it
case,
and then
a
I wrote
class.
it differently. Great. Um, var, and how do you call this output? Something like that. Console output. What do we call the variable? No. Is it not a variable? I'm confused.
How do we call it? Let's call it,
Okay, let's
I don't know.
okay. I need to start like from the very
Mhm.
beginning because I'm confusing myself sometimes on the stream as well. This is all live and I'm confusing myself. Okay, so we want a list, right?
Mhm.
And this list takes strings,
List
right?
of strings. Yes.
List of strings. This is kind of what we want.
Mhm.
Um, okay. And now, what do I do? So now
Let's
this
call
needs
it
a name.
text, maybe. Let's call it text because it's a text writer. Let's call it text.
Does that just work like this? Text is. And then
I mean, we want to create a new, yes.
it's a new, or just like new, or do I need to fill it already? I'm just going to do it like this.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's write new. And now we want to add to it, right?
Okay. New. Can I add in here, or do I need to add somewhere else, or do I not
We
need the
could.
brace? Params. Do not need them at all. Can
Well,
I just be
we
like,
do quite need
hello?
them because we want to create a new instance of the list. List is a class,
Fabulous.
it's a type. So we
I'm just going to
basically need
pass in
to create
the
it.
value because that's all I can see. And hope for the best.
This doesn't exist because we can't initialize a list of length 1 with a value directly. This constructor overload doesn't exist. But what we can do is add to a list. So that's an instance method of the list to add new elements to it.
Okay. Yeah. I see you giving me loads of hints. I love it. I want to put add here. That doesn't
Mhm.
work. That doesn't work.
Yeah, because that is what we're using here is a target typed new expression, which is basically understanding what we have here. So the code here is the same as if we were writing having it on the left hand side and on the right hand side.
Yeah.
So both lines are the same. Now on the right hand side, we know the type, so we could actually now add here. But you can't do it here because if we add dot add here now,
Mm-hmm.
because this new in this lexical scope, I think that's the correct term. This new doesn't know which it is new to. Only in the whole sense it understands that it should be a new list. But if we add a dot add, now we basically break the system because it doesn't we lose the target type. This is not how it works. I think this is
Okay.
lexically called. If we explicitly declare it, now we could do it. But the problem is that we're leading to the add method. The add method is void. It doesn't return anything. So we can't do that. Let's add something to it. This doesn't work because add is void and we can't assign then to the list. We can't do this in one expression. So we need to split it up into several expressions.
Okay. So we're still sort of going with the top version of
If you
events.
prefer it, then yes.
I don't actually prefer it. I just
No.
needed to sort of get like a list of strings on like paper and
Mhm.
then go from just like step by step, just
Okay.
for my personal thing. Um okay. So does that mean we need to do something inside the params?
No,
Parents.
no, because
No.
this is now our first. This is now our
This feels
first
like a quiz
statement.
now.
This is our first expression. We create the list, and then in the next step we add to it.
Yes. I love it. Text. And okay, so no, I have no.
So add is an instance. Add is an instance method on the list.
Oh my god, it's telling me something. It's suggesting something. What is that? Could
Yeah,
that
but
work?
that's a wrong
That
suggestion.
doesn't work.
That's very wrong.
It wasn't
Well,
me.
it was the suggestion was half. Well, it was an indicator, but it isn't really correct.
Okay.
So we
Okay,
want to
so
invoke.
how do we add to a list? That is
Yeah,
the
so
question.
the list has the instance method add on it, which we can invoke with a dot operator. So we basically just
Yep.
need to add to the list. Can you write add here? Yes.
Yeah.
And add the value. That's right. But add is void. It doesn't return anything. So we
So
can't
we don't
assign it
need
to
this.
anything. Yes. Now we
I
add to the
love
list.
it. Now we got there. Oh wow, that was
The,
exciting.
the thing is
Are we
now,
not?
every
Ooh,
time we go into the right line, we would create a new list, add to it, and then go out of scope and basically lose the list again. So we need to keep the list over multiple invocations of the write line method. Now it's a local variable. It only exists within this scope.
okay, so we need
At the
to
end of the
put
method,
it
goes out of scope,
somewhere
it's
here.
gone again.
On the
Yes.
yeah,
So
and
we make it a
that's
member of the type, and now it lives as long as the type lives. So now survives basically multiple invocations of the write line, as long as this test text writer exists.
and what is it? Public list? How do you say? Can
Yeah,
I
we
just
already know the type.
okay? List of string, and we call it output. I don't know. What do we call it?
Let's call it text.
Any name suggestions? Text
Let's call it text.
is what is it?
We need to initialize it. We need to create a new instance
Nice.
of the text. So now we get a warning because we didn't declare this list as list is a class. That means it's a reference type, which is per default null. If we don't assign it to anything, it will get the default value and it's null. So what we need to do is to actually instantiate it. We
Okay.
already did this in line 54.
54. I don't have line. Oh my god, 54
Ooh,
is new.
like this line.
Nice.
Yes. Okay, now we initialize the new list, and we can basically now get rid of this and now have the feature that we want. The thing is, we now have again a nullable warning, but
Uh-huh.
we fix this by just turning this also in a list of nullable strings. Now the compiler
Nice.
is happy. If you don't mind, I will move this up because I think I think like on a code style
Yeah.
approach, usually the fields come before properties and then before methods. And what I also do, I will rename this into underscore text because
Nice.
this is a .NET coding convention to call fields, to call private fields, um, to call private fields underscore or prefix them with underscore. I'll also change the list to private
But
in order to
what?
ensure that nobody else can mutate this list. We only mutate this list from this white line method. So this is some data encapsulation that only users of this test text writer via the white line functionality can actually mutate this list and not like
Okay.
anything else. So we want to keep the scope and the visibility as limited as possible.
But can we then access it in the assert thing?
No, but we could write our own assert method here
Ah,
and pass in the string expected, for example.
nice.
And then now it's more like a more encapsulated type. So we don't leak any information and it's very self-contained.
I love it. Okay.
And that also, another improvement, make this list read only because for the lifetime of this test text writer, we only have one list. So we don't replace it with a different, it doesn't change. Well, the list itself changes, but it doesn't change to a different list. It will always be this one list that we only add to. Cool. And this may, okay. So we create a new text writer here. Actually, let's store this text writer in our local field. Let's call it text, or let's call it out because we can't use out. That's a reserved keyword. Out text writer. Create a new instance. Test text writer. Let's pass the test text writer. Set this as out. We redirect the output. And now we want to assert. So we could now already scribbled the assert method. So we could now say text writer dot assert. Oops. Text writer dot assert and pass in our expected out.
And this one we could expect assert equal. We could put in the assert method below, right?
Now we can, yes.
No. Yes. Yes.
But what we now face is basically a bit of a difficulty. We have a list of strings that we need to convert now to a singular string. And well, there is now different ways to solve this. What I would like to do instead is converting the list of strings to a string builder. A string builder is a type that allows us to, well, build a string. So we can append to a string. We can continue to append to a string. And instead of add, we call append. And actually, in our case, we call append line. And this is now why I like the string builder in this case, because it kind of matches the signature of the text writer, because we white line, for every white line, we append to the string builder. And now it's very simple to also have the other method that I wanted to override. We can say public override the white method, which takes a string. There it is. And we call text.append, not append line, but just append. And now we overrode those both functionalities. So the white just goes to the white, the white goes to the append of the string builder, and the white line goes to the append line of the string builder. And the string builder now, when we do string builder.toString, we convert this now to a singular string that we could assert with our expected.
But why do we need the write method as well to override it?
I'm not sure if we need it, but maybe Maybe
just for
system
fun.
dot command line. I can imagine they also use white. Having white and white line, at least what I wrote so far, is quite common. So I think this is the most common methods that are actually in use. We may want to overwrite more methods of the text writer, but I think this is a good enough start.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, but we still need to, because okay, what have we got here? Now we've just have the string builder to string, but this is what we actually get, and now we need to assert it with the expected. Okay. Can I just put this assert is equal thing, or is that bad? No, it's bad.
No, this is exactly what we want to do.
Assert dot. I have to write it capitalized again, right?
Yes.
I'm lost with autocompletion. It's like it's terrible. Okay. Dot. Let's do this again. Oh.
No, I'm not laughing because of the code. I'm laughing because yet another co-worker of mine has joined. Hello.
Woo! Welcome. How do you know them all by their like? Oh, okay. So that was an actual name. I was like, how do you know their like usernames by heart? I just realized that a coworker of mine was actually watching the stream as well, and I did not know about it. So I was like, yeah. But yeah,
Did they say
people have
hello?
different names. No, I don't think so. Maybe. Oh my god. Need to check for the username.
I always annoy people too. Hey, when you're watching, please say hello.
Nice. I'm really struggling to get like auto-completion suggestions here.
Yes, because I made an issue because I called the method assert and the type name is also assert. The thing is now, since we're in the method, the closest thing is assert and the compiler now assumes that it's that assert. So we should rename this method and let's call it assert text.
Yes.
Yeah, let's call it assert text.
Okay.
Now we should have the assert type in scope again.
Is what?
Isn't it just equal?
Oh, equal. Nice. Equal.
In XUnit lang, XUnit library.
Okay, and then we need this, and we need the oh god, we need the we need the expected first, and then the actual. No,
I always forget. This is let's take a look. Expected and actual. Yes, expected first, actual second.
Expected, and then actual.
Cool.
Okay.
Let's run the test. I'm quite uncertain if the output redirection works together with system command line. I can imagine.
I'm very confident about this. My confidence is founded in nothing. Oh my god.
Okay, MS build failed when processing something. Now that's interesting. MS build failed. Okay, so it appears that MS build failed. Does this mean our actual? But why does it print it to the console? Is it? Let me. We have a comment on, can you expose the string and assert in the test? So that the confusion about expected and actual wouldn't be an issue with fluent assertion. Yes, indeed. It wouldn't be an issue with fluent assertion, and you are foreshadowing future episodes.
Yeah. We want to, tackle that with a potential guest of ours. Every now and again, also like if you're not aware of this, every now and again we do bring in like guests who are like expert in some field, and then they help us out with certain topics, and that's one of those topics that we definitely want to tackle in the future. And we've actually got one of those episodes coming up, but more of that later.
I am commenting out some on workspace failed callbacks because this looked like a workspace maybe related. But okay. So now we have. Now we come into line ending land. So we expected, but it actually prints the RN as a line. And okay,
What is the
I'm not.
RN? What is that?
Yeah, \r\n is the Windows line ending format. I think on some systems I always forget it's just \n. I think that's on
Okay.
Unix. I think there's also just a \r. No, I'm not sure. I always forget. I think \r is carriage return and \n is new line, and \r\n is the new line of Windows. But on different operating system, it's different.
Okay,
Always
so
forget
this maybe
differences.
this toString is then, is there also like maybe a name or like a something? Because it's from the toString, right? It's from the text
I
of
think
toString.
it's. I think we actually get it. I think we do white. I think we actually do duplicate white
Oh,
lines. Is what I think. So we actually get in to the white line overload,
okay.
the method that we wrote, include. So we get this in as a value. So the first, we actually, project under test was the first line. This actually matched. So that's good. But now the second line, system 6.
Nice.
And system generic. Oh no, hold on. We don't see. I'm not certain anymore. Yeah, it should be from the toString.
Really?
Hold on.
Oh my god, that would make you so
Where
happy
is-
though.
Where is? Oh no, it's coming
Oh,
from
it's
the.
not.
Oh no, hold on. Okay, okay. So we do have. Why is there? I'm uncertain.
Okay, wait. So does that is it maybe okay? This is just there's a new line after the end of the string, right? No. Yes.
Yes, but so our
Did we just
expected.
not copy this from the output window? Is there in the actual output window, like when we actually run it, is there actually a new line? And did we just not?
Yes, because where is it? There it is. So there is actually
Yeah.
new lines. Yes.
So that's good, right?
I'm not.
So we just need
Maybe
to
we
put
need
it in the
to.
to the expected.
I'm trying to. There is something with normalized line endings.
Okay.
Normalize. Is that the method? Because normalize. I always forget. We have some line endings, but Ekman in training knows that \r\n is on Windows, \n is on Linux and Unix. And the Mac OS version is just \r.
Okay.
But used to be just \r, but now it's also just as in Unix \n. Okay, there's also historical changes in older versions. Hui, okay. Here's the docs. Returns a new string whose binary representation is particular Unicode normalization format. Okay, now I'm really spitballing here. Let's try this. I have this feeling I once normalized something and then it worked. But it doesn't look all too promising now. So we have this weird. Well, we could we get rid of these? Could we say like, I don't know, like replace line endings
Ooh, with nothing.
with what does replace line endings do? It, I guess it changes them to the to the current operating system, but it doesn't seem to work either. So our expected doesn't. Okay. Is maybe the solution? Maybe this string that we pass in here already contains the new line, and then we add an additional new line. So what if we change this also to just an append? Maybe this does the trick.
Yep. Good shout. Go for it.
Does not, because now they're totally gone. Now the expected has. them too, but the expected didn't have them earlier. Something
No.
are they backslash? Oh, okay. I think there is one more that maybe we pass in. No, running out of ideas. Okay, line ending fun, but
But is there not
technically,
okay? But there was also like a remove. Is there not like a remove end of line or something?
yes, but we want to. I don't know
We don't want to remove it.
what do you mean? I'm not sure if I could follow. So where would you remove?
Right at the assert equal expected and then text to string and then instead of replace line endings, there was like a remove.
Yeah, but remove would actually
Remove
we
everything.
could remove parts of a string.
Okay.
But so I think we're now in line ending land. Maybe we go on and put this as a task to do later and off stream, and we follow up with this because
Okay.
technically we're actually there because we expect like this string, and what we get is now the string without the line endings because we removed that one. Yeah, it was not smart. Let's bring that to white line back. And running the debugging test again. Now our actual string also is, yeah, so that's quite the same. So we now have some line ending issues that we figure out later, but technically the test is passing. So we actually do normalize those strings, and let's assume it's passing, and we'll deal with and follow up. We deal with the new line issues off stream and then come back to this next stream. So now let's go to the other test, where we actually mutate our project.
Okay.
For simplicity, I'll just copy I just copy this method here. We will later on refactor this in a proper type, but just to get this working as well, getting the same thing. So we find the root, basically just copying code here, and do then a path.combine with the root.full name into, I guess let's just copy it really, the same project. Okay. And now we actually mutate the project. So how can we now confirm that after, because we're actually moving system usings around, how can we confirm that afterwards the project has really been changed?
Well, can we just? Oh, that's a good question, actually. So that it's been changed is easy because you can just like save the project before you change it and then assert that they're not the same. But but that's not really checking if it was changed in the correct way. You could have just deleted everything and it would be different as well. Yeah. So that's actually tricky.
What we could do is basically what we do in our production code, because what we do, we create an MS Build workspace, and then for the actual production code of our globalizer, we then, there it is, we load the project, or we open the project and then pass it in to our globalizer to manipulate. So what we could do is then basically loading the project and then analyzing the project if everything is as we would expect. So let's basically just copy this code. Let's see that we is that in the assert? Let's have it in the assert for now. I guess again later on we can move this into separate functions. So we need an MS build workspace. I'm not sure if this is a constructor or a factory method. It is a factory method. We do workspace.create. So we create a new workspace and we open the project. We need the file. We already have the path to the project. And what else do we need to pass? Nothing else to pass. Just get rid of these parameters. Okay, so we now have the project, and now we want to make assertions on the project.
Okay, yeah.
So what does our logic do? Our logic gets through all. Where's our project? There's our project. I will delete this file here. No, actually, I don't want to delete this because this reveals a bug. Our test that we're about to write is revealing a bug.
Okay.
But
so actually this creating workspace and stuff, does that not belong in the range section?
well, this is actually now we're actually doing assertion now.
Okay.
I think
Fair enough.
with a path. I
Then
guess
let's stay in the assert section.
I guess definitely. I think later on we will move some code up, but
not now. Fair enough.
yes, not now. And so basically, what our globalizer does is it looks in every C# file and removes a system using. This will be gone. So what we could assert is we could go through all the documents, and none of the documents should include a using system anymore. So we could assert that.
Okay, so I can hear a loop.
Oh, yes, indeed.
I can see a loop coming, but okay, but how do we assert? We can't say assert. Can we say assert? Can we just count it and then assert that the count was 0? Or
we could do that,
should
yeah.
we, or can we actually like assert a loop?
Well, we can. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Let's write the code, and then I guess it manifests. I hope it manifests itself.
Okay. Fine.
I'm really not certain now.
Okay, but we're certain about the loop, and the loop is
Yeah.
a for each.
Yeah. Because we want to iterate through all the documents in the project.
Oh.
And the documents, we used this already. Okay. That's exactly what we need. That's scary. So, yeah, that was a tab completion, wasn't it?
No.
No? Then
no, it was. It 100%
because now my comment
was.
of that scary was, it sounds like I'm a weirdo. Well, I am, but okay.
More of that later. Okay, so we're going through each document, and we want to see if it contains is there a document contains?
Well, we could. So what we want to assert is that, well, first we need to get the syntax, because now again we are in C# land, so we want to get the root of this document, the syntax root of this document.
Nice. Document dot syntax root. Can I just go root with try get syntax root? I love it. Love it. Okay.
Is there also a non-try version? Because try is a little bit, because it returns a bool. It's a bit tougher to use. Is there a non-try version?
Let's see. I'm gonna go. Okay, get syntax root async. Of course there is. I love it. And there was a wait here, but I'm not sure if we need the wait. Yeah. Okay.
So let's store that root.
Yes. Let's store that root in var root is.
Which will cause a problem because we're using root here already. I'm calling this into root directory to avoid this ambiguity. Yes, root is now available again as an identifier.
Okay. And now we add the syntax root.
Take care, because Forfire steals this back and tells us that we still use explicit typing. Well, not everywhere. We haven't used explicit typing here, so we're using it quite mixed so far. There is actually another teaser. We will do a bit of a code style episode in the future, but yeah. So we made them change.
Really love everyone's usernames, by the way. Mine's just
Really.
Mealy Eva. So I feel really plain now. Maybe I also have to change it to
So
Super Coding Master. No.
so the
Yes.
thing is now is that we're actually having a task and not the real
Aha.
root. Yes,
Oh, I was gonna say that tasks we need to async await and stuff like that, but
exactly.
that's do we? Oh, I thought we
Yes.
wanted to change it. Oh,
No, no, no.
nice. Okay. Okay. So wait. Okay. So we await here,
Yep.
right? And where's the async task thing?
We
It's already an
already
async task.
yes.
Fair enough.
So because get
Easy
syntax
peasy
root,
lemon squeezy.
get syntax root returns a task of syntax node in order to get a hold of the syntax node. If the task has passed or if the task is completed successfully, we do that via the await. If it doesn't execute complete successfully but fails, then it will throw an exception.
Mm. Also, at the async thingy, I can see that it might be a task, right? No.
At the async,
Think-
oh yes, usually
Yeah.
a method that is suffixed with async is returning a task. Not necessarily a task, it could also be a value task or some type that is awaitable.
Yeah. Okay. Fair
So
enough.
usually you can always, if a method ends in async, you can expect it to be awaitable.
Okay. And now we get the root. And what do we do with it?
Now we also did this. This is what David showed us in episode 3, if I recall correctly. If we go to sharplab.io, then we see that the root of the syntax tree is actually starting with a compilation unit. So we could cast, because what we now have is just a syntax node, but we could cast this one into a compilation unit syntax. Can you still remember how we do typecasting in C#?
Yeah. We just okay. No, I have an idea. So is it just that we can write like compilation blah blah and then like have parents? No.
Yes,
That's
but
making sense.
not
Not
like
like
in
this.
here.
Okay, not like in here. Sorry.
Because
remove everything.
first we need to get in the first
We need to
statement.
cast this one,
In
right?
the first statement, we need to get a hold. So in here, we get a hold of this task. We await this task.
Yes.
And now we have here, at the end of this expression, we have a syntax node. If we use this explicitly here, we have a syntax node here.
Oh, we can just do it like that?
Excuse me?
I'm just always that's so much more like I was like thinking way too complicated. But we did have something with parents at some point where we were casting stuff.
Yes. Yes.
That's my excuse. Okay, perfect. Easy. Everybody knows that.
So no, so it's not. Oh no,
that's not casting it.
Sorry,
Okay.
I misunderstood. No, again, those two lines are the same. They look syntactically different, but they're semantically the same because the var is, what's the word? Inferring the type. So var understands that we await the task, and task is of syntax node. So this is why this var, when we hover it, actually says syntax node.
Nice.
There we just stated explicitly. This is what for fire steals told us that we use partially explicit type. So that's the difference. The var is an implicit type. It tries to infer it from what's on the right hand side.
Okay.
And this is an explicit type. But it's the same.
Okay, but so we can't just write what is it? What was the type that we wanted it to be?
Compilation unit syntax.
And then it's cast. Done.
This will return in a compiler error.
Okay.
Because the thing is, compilation unit syntax is deriving from C# syntax node, and C# syntax node is deriving from syntax node. So in other words, to simplify it a little bit, we have compilation syntax that derives from syntax node.
Yeah.
Now this is a syntax node. What we can do, we can implicitly downcast. No, hold on. No, wrong direction. We can implicitly upcast. Basically, we can go up the inheritance syntax node derives from object. So this is basically our type hierarchy.
Hierarchy. Okay.
So this is a C# syntax node. So compilation unit syntax derives from C# syntax node, which derives from syntax node, which derives from object. So what we can do, we can safely upcast, because we know that eventually the syntax node that we have here is deriving from object. So that's safe. What we can't do is implicitly downcast. We cannot go down the inheritance tree implicitly, because it could be that it's not that type. It may be something else.
Fair enough.
So it isn't safe. And this is why we need to tell the compiler explicitly, hey, we know what we are doing, because we know this is a C# project. And if we're in a C# project, we know that this document, if we get the root of it, is actually a compilation unit syntax. If we were in a Visual Basic project, it still would be, well, it would still be a type called compilation unit syntax, but it wouldn't be in the C# namespace. It would be in the Visual Basic namespace, and therefore would be a totally different type. And in that case, then the cast would fail if it was a Visual Basic project. And then it throws an error. So this is why we can't do it implicitly, but we must have an explicit cast, which could fail if it's not that type at one time.
Okay.
And this is why we need now those parentheses in order to explicitly cast. But we do this in a separate statement.
Okay. Separate statement. So
is it an expression?
separate expression. We want compilation unit syntax, right? I'm gonna copy paste because I don't trust myself. And I don't trust myself to copy paste either, but there we go. And then you just parentheses, and then you put in the root, and then you're done.
Almost. It's the other way around. We put in the parentheses the type we want to cast to.
Nice.
Because this looks like a method invocation.
Okay.
Easy. So this is why the syntax is. But the parentheses are now we.
Oh my god!
Again, I'm afraid. Now this still looks like a method invocation or like a method declaration. So we need to. Yes. So it's now basically we just need to put this on the right hand. On the right hand side is the type that we want to cast from, and on the left hand side is the type that we want to cast to.
Oh, okay. Easy. Yes.
Yes. And now we still want to store that somewhere. We need to put this somewhere in a new local variable. Let's call it unit.
Unit. Nice. Okay.
Cool. Okay. And now we also learned this in this episode 3 with David, that unit has the compilation unit syntax has a usings collection.
Unit usings.
Doesn't it?
Collection. I've got usings.
Yes, usings. So yeah, it's a type called usings, which is a collection of usings.
Ah, okay.
So we now want to assert that none. So usings is a syntax list, and syntax list now implements. It's an I read only list, and I read only list at the end is now an IEnumerable. So we could again do it for each, or we could use link in order to basically write a statement that ensures that we have no using that has the name system.
I love it.
Or the other way around, we could get all of the using directives that have the name system, and then we assert that this amount is 0. Yeah.
I like that. So there was like an all usings. There was like a, wasn't there like with you? No, there was just usings. I thought there was like get all usings or something.
Well, we already have. Well, this is all the top level usings. This doesn't contain any usings that are nested in namespaces, but we don't care about this anyway.
Unit.usings. And then
So we
we
could now
need to
use
get
link. There is a
oh.
link extension method called all.
Oh. And then we
And
have
if you
point.
have a look,
No.
oh yes. Sorry, I didn't want to intervene. That was correct actually.
Nice. Spear brackets, pointy
Which
brackets.
type do we want to put in there?
What is it? Using something? No. What are they
Yes,
called?
it's the using directive syntax.
Using directive syntax. Nice. Using directive syntax. Easy.
And now last time we already did something with lambda. Now the all gets a function and a function now also, an action doesn't have a return type. So action basically is void. A function does have a return type. So this function returns true and receives as an input the T source, which in our case is the using directive syntax. So we have, if you can remember, I'll write this out. So we can now have our static lambda that takes in, so it actually returns a Boolean, and it takes in the using directive syntax. Let's call it using. No, using is a reserved keyword. I'll call it just syntax here.
Yeah.
And let me finish the method here. And now this method must return something. If I return false, now basically none of them would be matching. So what we want to return true, because we want to find all the usings that are called system. So we want to return here if the syntax that we get in, if the name is actually system.
Sorry, if the name is system, we want to return true.
Yes.
No. Okay. If syntax.name, yes,
Looks promising.
is equal to system,
Mhm.
easy, then return true. It doesn't like me.
It doesn't, yeah, because name isn't a string. Name is actually a name syntax. But what we did last time is then just we can toString this name in order to get a string of this type of this system. Already forgot
String.
of this name syntax.
No. Yes.
So we basically now stringify this C# type. And yes, this would work, but I would like to, because the thing is, that's like perfect, but I want to clean it up a little. What we have, basically what we do, if we say if this is true, then we return true. Otherwise false. Do you know where I'm kind of going to?
Yes. No. Oh no. I'm kind of I'm like this close for it to click, but it's not happening. So we don't need we don't need these here. We just need to say if name.syntax. No.
I'm afraid we need exactly that. That's well, it is correct. So what we have, I'm bringing those back. This is correct, but it's a bit.
No, I know it.
Indirect.
Okay. If it's not this, I know it. If it's not this, I know it. It's false. Return false. Done. No.
You can't do that. So what you mean is, I think, using the not
here
equals yes.
Yes.
But still the same thing. So it is to true. Where I want to go to is.
But
so
isn't it true? Isn't true the default?
The default is false. So if you just create a
it's also
Boolean,
my default apparently.
if you just create a Boolean field without explicitly assigning it, this will be false.
Okay.
But where I'm basically where I want to go to is in this if expression. No, well, the condition of the if expression, I think it's called, is already a Boolean. So we basically check, hey, if this is true, maybe I bring back the old version because it was more
Yeah.
forward. If this is true, then we return true. So why not return this directly? Because it's already the thing that we want to get a hold of. So where I'm hinting, where I want to go to is basically just return that. Because that's, again, it's syntactically different, but it's semantically the same, and it's more direct. So we return if we, so the result of the name, if the name is equals to system, otherwise false. It is basically the same as in here, because we already have a Boolean.
But we don't have
We
the
already
if
have a
anymore.
Boolean here, and then we can return that Boolean already and not returning a different Boolean, because we already are in Boolean land.
Yeah, but if we only have the first line, then we don't have the. How do we get to false then?
Well,
Oh,
if
because it
this is
already
not
is.
system, yes,
Ah,
yes, yes,
yes,
yes.
yes. I get it. I get it. Fabulous, amazing. Took me a while, but there you go. Learn something new.
Because when you have something in an if,
Yeah,
it's
because it's
already
already
Boolean.
a bool.
Yeah,
Easy.
because you
Love
could
it.
you could write if true. Now this block is always entered unconditionally. It's basically this. If we have
Yeah.
console write line always, it would be the same as just writing this line because it's always entered. If we write false, it's never entered. So this is dead code. Can just remove it. Can remove the entire thing because it's never executed anyway. I think even if we have, I can imagine that if we write if false something, I can imagine that the compiler totally removes this as an optimization because this code is never executed.
Nice.
So we are already, if we have an if, well, not only ifs, if we have a while loop as well that we wrote earlier. This here is a Boolean. Now we have an infinite loop.
Yeah.
Now we have a dead loop.
Yeah.
So we're already in Boolean land, so we can,
Yeah, I was
we
thinking
expect
too
a
small.
Boolean, so
I
let's
was
use that.
like stuck in my loop, and I didn't realize that we're already in Boolean land. But there you go. Now I realized it. Great. Okay. What's next?
Now we get a result here. I call this, we get all the usings. So this would be, I call this just usings.
Okay.
So now we get all the usings that are system. So we now want to assert that we have 0 of those system usings.
Okay. Return. Okay. I can do this. Focus. It's already late, but I can do this. Okay, this is wrong. I'm not in the right place.
Hold on.
Yes.
Actually, haha, I made a mistake. Actually, training is pointing it out. I am asserting that all the usings are system. Haha, I was wrong. I thought, yeah, I think it's called a brain fart.
But good job for spotting it.
Medically.
Well
Thanks for pointing
done.
out our error.
Yeah.
So all returns a Boolean, returns true if it matches for each and every element in this usings collection. So if we would only have system usings, let's go actually to a file. If we would only have using systems, this would be true. If we have any other using than system using, now this would be, it would return false, because the all extension method only returns true if this function returns true for each and every member of this collection.
So we need like usings some or at least one.
Now
is
we
there
could,
such a thing?
now there's 2 ways. We could either use a where instead, because the where is actually what I wanted to use, what I had in mind. This is a filter. It only filters those where this function returns true. Alternatively, we could use since this is a Boolean, we could check this Boolean. But all our check is not if there is all, and Equine training is hinting it. Our check, the other thing would be any. Any is also bool returning, and it returns true if at least one element satisfies this condition.
Okay.
And if we have at least one element satisfying this condition, then we
Then
have
the
one system using. So is this then good or bad?
it's bad if we just use the
Yes,
globalizer. So
exactly.
we can assert that usings is false, right?
Mhm.
Can we no is false? Can I write is oh, I can't do anything. Okay.
Not
Um,
is false, but just false. I think
using
in MS test, and in N unit, it's is
I guess
false.
is
Hold
false.
on. So this doesn't work. There is no using
Is
method
no
on assert.
using is false like this.
So hold on. That they're using. There is no. Oops. Sorry. Wrong key. There is
Assert
no.
is I got it. I got it. I'm just tired, guys. Is false. There's no false. There's just
There.
false. There
Yes,
is
it's just
just
false.
false.
Yes,
And
there is
then
just
we
false.
put in the usings.
Yes. There you go.
I got it. Easy.
And I think we could add. I think it also allows a user message. So let's add a bit of a
Nice.
message. There was at least one system using, which we didn't intend to be.
No, 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 no.
And
No, if it's false, there was none.
well, yes,
What?
but so okay, so we can to assert false, we can add there it is, a user message which gets
Yeah.
printed if the assertion fails.
Fails. Okay. Okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. Then it makes sense again.
What I'll be doing now is commenting out our act to see. I want to see the test fail. I want to see the test fail with the user message that we supplied. And it says, unable to load one or more requested types.
Love it.
Okay.
You
So we
wanted to
can't.
see it fail. So
Yes, it does.
like be careful what you wish for.
The system cannot find the file specified. So this is, where's this failing?
Ooh,
Oi,
come
oi,
on.
oi. Do you mind if we go 20 more minutes?
No, wait. What's the correct answer to this if I don't mind? No?
No, I
Yes?
think yes. If you don't mind. Okay, cool.
Let's continue.
Excellent. Because so I think I'm not sure where I think we are now in MS Build loading
Yeah,
project land.
great. We've traveled to many different lands today. Love it.
Maybe I'm not entirely 100% certain, but I'm. Oh no, that's the thing. Maybe we need this magic. Where is it? Oh no! Yes, of course. Yeah, this doesn't work because we don't have any MS Build types loaded. Yes, I'll do it differently because the code that we don't invoke is this MS Build locator. And this is what David told us. This is, if we do anything with MS Build workspaces, we need that. Otherwise, everything goes kaboom, which it does now.
Oh.
So what I do instead is commenting out our using code that we would invoke. So going here, basically now having, basically not invoking our count async. So basically not doing that. Now the test should fail because we don't actually globalize, but we still set up everything that we could globalize. Yes, and there we go. So there was at least
Nice.
one using system. We expected false, but it was actually true. There was at least one using system using. Now bringing back the code that commented out and running the test again, it could pass. Uh-oh. It could pass,
Uh,
but it quite does not. Why is
okay.
that? While I run it again,
Debug. Okay. Save and run again.
Sticky Man says hi.
Hello.
Thank you for joining. We are. I am out of. I'm not sure. We. Okay.
Join at the
So
right time. We are
what's
completely
going on? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Eva, you called it debug time indeed. So let's
nice.
set a breakpoint at the project that we are loading, and let's have a look at the usings that we have. We have 4 usings here in this document, and we have no system using. So that's quite interesting.
Ah,
So this is false, and we assert it to false. Okay, well, this was not the one that is failing. Let's go to the next one. Ooh, is it one of the generated? We don't exclude the generated. I think it's one of the generated documents,
but
isn't it? It's always those generated documents.
but that is it? Because didn't we write
False.
the globalizer so that it doesn't?
Yes, but we
Ah, but
haven't.
they assert.
Yes. Whee. Okay.
So yeah, okay.
Roslyn is hard.
So
Roslyn is relentless.
um
Yeah, so now we have true, but for which document is that? Yeah, that's the that's of course that's the global using document. So that's the global using document that we've actually
we've
created.
just created.
But we
Okay.
don't. So we haha, we need another check. We only want to check for. Well, okay, there is also more documents. I think we will run into the assembly. Is it the assembly?
Which
No,
one?
actually, we should
Yeah.
be fine. We should be fine. We should be fine by, I hope, changing this statement to exclude global usings. So if this is a global using,
Yeah.
it should return false because this is not the. We only want to search for local system usings, which should have been removed. So we should filter if it
Okay.
is a global using, we don't care.
Yeah. And you sort of kind of said it like when you said that I was thinking if loop, but you said change the statement. So I feel like there is a much simpler way of filtering for that. It's like yeah.
Well, we don't have to. Let's take a look at the syntax. So the syntax
Yeah.
may have, because maybe let's go to Sharpland and go to Sharplab, not land. But Stiggyman says this very much looks like C#, and with C#, if something looks odd, always do a clean build. This would, yeah,
Nice.
that's actually a
You're
wonderful suggestion. Yeah.
completely correct. Yeah. Didn't we also have that one time where something wasn't working and we were just like, okay, save
Yeah.
and run again?
Yes, pretty much. Rebuild. Everything is green.
Yeah.
So what we're searching, because in this filter, we don't care for global using systems. So let's, in this using directive, note there is a global keyword token that we could search for. And if it has the global keyword, we don't care. If it doesn't, now we do care. Now we want to check, is
Yeah, but
this
that's again an
identifier
if.
name actually system? It is an if indeed, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Did I misunderstand you? I guess I
No?
misunderstood you.
No, you were just like you said something about changing the statement to filter for that, and I was like, oh my god, can we just do it in one line? And I'm looping around again.
Well, I guess we could change it to a one-liner afterwards, yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, fabulous.
This may
So
be a
I'm just gonna.
ternary expression, but let's see where this goes to.
Wow, that's a new word I've learned just now. Okay. So we go to syntax, and then there is like a root node, something. What is it?
There's some
Something
global
node,
whatever.
global node,
No, hold
global
on.
keyword,
Syntax.
global keyword,
Global keyword sounds perfect.
global keyword.
The thing is, global keyword is of type syntax token.
Okay.
Now, syntax token has a kind, and we can check the kind. We can check the kind of this global keyword.
Is kind.
That sounds
So
perfect.
kind and sweet and nice. Is that a method?
And this now takes a syntax kind. And syntax kind is an enum with that's a big enum. It has many
Wow.
values.
I love it. Which one do we need?
So we basically need to check if it is the syntax kind global keyword, I
Global.
believe.
Global keyword? Syntax kind. Syntax. What? Syntax.
You want to write syntax kind dot because
Syntax
it's a member. It's a
kind.
field. No, it's a constant. It's a constant of the syntax kind enum.
Okay. But
You may want to hit Shift Control Space to have Visual Studio do the capitalization.
what? What do I sorry, what do I
Look at
press?
Control Space.
Control space.
This should. Does it not work?
No.
It's unfortunate. If
But-
I do Control Space on my end, it suggests to use syntax
That's
kind.
nice. Yes, please. Can you use
Also,
that
yeah,
for me?
let's
Oh.
do that.
Okay. Oh no.
It's okay. It's okay. It's the full qualified name. That's fine.
Okay. I just wanted to do like a dot.
Yes.
And then global keyword.
Global keyword.
There's a global statement as well, but we don't want that, right?
What's a global statement? I think if we what we have in our super main method. So I think this is a global statement. I'm not entirely certain though. What's a global statement? I think this is a global statement. Not. Let's have a look. Still, I think I should have the view. There is like also Visual Studio has a syntax visualizer. How's it called? Syntax visualizer. What is that? Oh yeah, that is a global statement indeed. So if you have this is like the new way of writing a main method. The old way would be having a public class, let's call it program, could be anything, but per convention it's called program. And then have this class, it could also be private, doesn't really matter. And then have a static, either void or int returning main method that takes the string args. And this is now basically the code below and the code above is technically the same. And this is like a regular expression, like regular statement. And if we do like the new, I'm not sure, it's the C#9 or C#10, I forget. That's a global statement. Okay, so we don't need the global statement, but the global keyword. And I guess what would help to understand what a keyword is, basically everything that the compiler highlights is a keyword. So in this scope, global is a keyword, using is a keyword, int is a keyword, bool is a keyword, for and for each are keywords. So basically language constructs, keywords from the language.
Okay.
And we don't continue.
Don't want to continue, but
because we are not in a loop here. But in that case, if the kind
What?
is if the
Okay, fair
kind
enough.
is
Okay, but if it's
global,
not
we don't care.
this, but can we? Yeah. So can we like turn this around
So if it's
and
not,
then enter this?
yes, we can.
Yes, nice. And now I need to get rid of this.
But now this doesn't compile because we get an error.
Oh.
Not all code paths return a value. We always need to return a value or
Okay,
throw an
so
exception.
okay, so just return. What do we return? No.
In that case, false, because we don't care. Because we want to find those which are called system.
Okay. And is there not like a return default or just return? Is it then just returning false?
You could also write default. You want to write default?
No.
Then I do. We can write default. So what is the default of a Boolean?
False. We've
Exactly.
just established
so
that.
It would be very much the same, but one could argue that having explicitly as false is more explicit, but we could also have return default. It's semantically the same.
Okay.
And the
Great.
test is green.
Yay!
So what I was with the ternary, I don't want to. Expert in training says there is no ternary needed, and of course you're absolutely right. What I wanted to go to is using this ternary expression, because what you can do is basically have a boolean, and then the syntax is with a question mark, have do if true, and then after the colon do if false, basically. So what I wanted to go to, because having it in one expression, because now we have multiple expressions, I wanted to go to something like if the keyword is not global, then we actually, let's have that, because this will be semantically the same code. Then we do this. Otherwise, colon, we say default.
Nice.
So we now have basically top code and the
looks
bottom
nice,
code are, again, syntactically different, but semantically the same. But of course, exponent training is right. We can, because we now have something with default, we could have it as a proper one expression by basically just doing a logical AND. So we can say, hey, if this is global, no, if this is not global, and if it is system, then we return true. So if basically both of those, we have two Boolean expressions, if both are true, so we AND combine them, then we return true.
Okay.
Do you know where I want to go to?
No, you kind of lost me.
So
Not gonna lie.
basically,
But also, what is a ternary?
so that's like the ternary expression, because ternary is
Oh, this is
three.
ternary. Okay.
So it consists of three
Yeah.
parts. We
3
have the
parts.
condition, then we have the expression that is evaluated if the condition is true, and we have so after the question mark, the expression that is executed if the condition is true, and after the colon, the expression is
Okay.
evaluated if the condition is false. And this is why this is the same, because it says if this is true, we return that, otherwise default, which is in the below code the same. If this expression is true, we return that, otherwise this.
Gotcha.
So we have
And now we want no. And now we want to get rid of the if, and we just want to have an and.
yes. So what
No,
we can
it's also
do
an
if, so not because again it's basically the same idea. We have booleans. We only have booleans already.
Yes.
So why not utilize the booleans? So we could say we return the result of, hey, if the global keyword is not, if it's not the global keyword, and if our name is system, then we return true. If any of these evaluates to false, so if the
then
if
it's
the
the
name is not
default.
system, or if it is the global keyword, then this is not fulfilled and we return false, because both of them have to be true.
I like it. Nice.
And this is what exponent training meant with there is indeed no ternary needed. And this is now a rather simple, straightforward Boolean expression, and we don't have any manual trues and false or some things. We just have bools here.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this should still render our test to be green. I actually hope it's turning red now, but it doesn't. Well, okay. Well, it is green, but what happens again if we comment out the code that we're actually executing? So again, commenting out the code that we execute, I now expect that the test stays green.
What?
And it does. It doesn't fail. Because the thing is, if we have a look at our actual files,
there are no system.
they're already gone.
Because they already executed it once.
Yes.
We already globalized them. Oh no.
Yes. So the
Oh
thing is
no.
now,
How do we get them back though?
yeah, we would need, so at the end of our test, well, regardless whether if it passes or if it fails, we need to restore the original state of what it was previously.
Okay. Actually, regardless whether it passes or fails or gets interrupted,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So if they
Oof.
get canceled or if they fail or if they pass, anyway, we want to return to the
Ooh.
original state. So for that
Okay.
next test run, to have the same
Okay, so
what's
we
it
need
called?
to
Premise.
um, premise. So we need to save the project right at the beginning and have it like original project,
Yes.
and then
Yes, yes, yes.
restore it like before we edit it. So like literally like the first thing probably
Mhm,
should
mhm,
be
mhm.
so it's like var original project
That sounds perfect.
rigid. Oh wait, is that okay? No, project like this.
Mhm.
Project is, and then we need, where's that? Is that workspace something? No.
Yes, we do indeed need the workspace. This is why I'll be moving it up to the
Oh,
top
okay.
because we need that one already.
Works. Okay. Ah, we just need that workspace, right? No. Workspace
So
dot project or something probably, right?
yeah, via the workspace we can open the project because we
Project.
need that project.
Open project async. And it's async, so we need to wait it.
Mhm.
Wait. And
We also need the project path, so I'll be moving this code up as well. There we go.
okay. Oh, okay, so we need to pass the project path.
Mhm.
Root directory, we called it, right? Yes.
Project path. Project path is the one.
What?
The root is
Oh,
the root is just to
sorry.
be used as a
Yeah.
temporary. We need to get a
Sorry,
hold
I'm
of the
confused.
yes. Okay.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And now we need to restore that. I'm not entirely certain. So we get a hold of the original one. Then what the code will be doing is creating its own project and manipulating that. So because that's the cool thing about Roslyn, the project that we have here, it's immutable, cannot be changed. So as long as we don't override this local variable, it will be the old project. So that's very cool.
Okay.
Then we open it after it has been manipulated, but that's the manipulated project. Let's call this manipulated project. I think I have a typo, it doesn't matter. And now we want to restore it. So I'm not entirely certain. I hope that the workspace.
Can we not just overwrite it? Like
What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. What do you
manipulated
mind?
project is original project.
I'm afraid this doesn't work like this, because what that line means is basically we store the reference, because those are reference variables. So we store the value of the original project in the manipulated local
I
variable.
remember now. That's
So
also
they're
what we
now
did with David.
pointing to the same thing,
Yeah.
but we haven't really manipulated the
Yeah.
workspace. We need to do this via the workspace because that's like
Fair enough.
our entry point. And I'm not certain. Maybe there is like maybe there is something like with project. No. Maybe there is some. Maybe we had a solution. Current solution dot with project. Or project. I'm quite uncertain. We need to hold on because we actually do this in our production code. Because our production code, we have our production code. Where are you? There you are. Because our globalizer returns this type, this using globalization result. And this using globalization result contains the project. And this is the mutated project. And what we then do is using that result, and we actually apply changes. So maybe this is the thing
Yeah.
that we need to do.
Yeah.
I hope. And we workspace.apply. Okay, this does not workspace.apply changes. Does not work. Because I think there's an extension method that we don't have here. Try apply changes. And try apply changes takes a new solution. So we can get the
Original.
originals project that solution. And
Nice.
before we try this out, because I'm quite uncertain, Kerix asks, how are you and what are we working on?
We're very well, actually. I'm very well. How are you, Stefan?
Actually getting exhausted, but
He's getting
and
exhausted, and we also because we so oh, where do I start? We're kind of building. I don't know if you've been here before, but we are building a .NET tool, and we are counting that the tool is counting usings, and then if you like to like counting duplicate usings in a project, suppose in each file, and if that duplicate usings that you want to put into a globalized using, you can globalize them, and then there's actually a new file with all your global usings inside, and it's really, really cool. But now we're writing integration tests and we're kind of getting desperate because we accidentally, by running the test, deleted all our usings and globalized all our usings, and now obviously we can never run the test again for it. Like we now get loads of false positives because we've already globalized everything. And so yeah, we're just trying to sort of store the solution of the project, the original project, before we run the test, and then sort of like bring it back whenever the test fails or passes or get cancelled, so that when whatever we do with the test, we always get our original project back. I hope that made sense. But yeah, so we're deep in workspace land, or what did you call it?
yeah, this is quite MS Build Workspace land.
MS Build
And
workspace land.
the MS Build Workspace is part of this Microsoft code analysis world, which is Roslyn. And so the C# and Visual Basic compiler. And now we try to apply these changes, what you described, and this returns a Boolean. And I think the Boolean is true if these changes have been applied successfully, and false if they haven't. So I want to add another assert to check that this is true, that indeed those changes have been applied, and otherwise we print the user message changes have not been applied for some reason that we're not certain of. And now, if we run this code, this test, we could potentially have the test green. No, it fails. Of course it fails.
Nice.
Reflection type. Oh yeah, because no. Why?
I don't know.
Why did that come back? Because now we now do before we run because we do run the MS Build locator here. We need to we need to run this before we do MS Build stuff. So I'm just moving this up here. And now hoping that if we do it twice, it doesn't fail. Once in our test code as the very beginning and once in our production code, because this is what we call into. And I'm not sure. I'm now following Sticky Man's suggestion just to do a rebuild. Where's the comment? There it is. Oh no. Yes.
Yeah.
Clean rebuild. Maybe that's fingers crossed and such.
Dim, dim, dim.
No, it stays quite red.
It stays
one failed.
Dark red.
And
great.
I am mega uncertain because was called, but MS Build assemblies were already loaded. Damn it, we cannot do this twice. Ensure that register instance is called before any method at direct reference, because we're calling it twice.
Yeah, but do we need to call it twice? Can we not just?
We need to call it from our test, because our test we want to load this project already before calling into our code here. And what I'm thinking of now is a bit of a heck? Let's say boolean
Nice.
is test. Per default false because we are not in the test. But if we
But then you
are,
don't need to, because the default is already false.
um, that's true. But I want to but I want to set it as a default parameter because if I
Okay.
don't, now every user must call it, and we would need in our production code now actually pass true to it, and I kind of want to avoid that. So like we can pass a default argument. So per default, if we don't change the caller, they will invoke it with false, but only if we pass explicitly true.
Okay, fair enough.
And we could do something like, or we pass in, because what we do need is actually this Visual Studio instance. What if we pass in this here? Oops. Basically doing something very similar, but different. Visual Studio instance, I call it instance. Per default, null. And then saying if this instance is null, using here some null coalescing operator. So if this instance is null,
Yes.
we call that. If it's not null, we use that. So we now basically from our
Nice.
test pass in this MS build instance. Okay, I'm not sure if this is the best way, but this could
I quite like it. I
work.
mean,
This
yeah.
kind of makes sense because
Yeah.
basically, in other words, if we would write this code out, it would be if the instance is null, then MS build will be that.
Yeah.
Else, MS build will be the instance if it's not null. So this is the null coalescing operator is syntactic sugar for assigning something to the right-hand side of the expression if the left-hand one is null.
Okay. How did you learn all these vocabularies, like the exact names and stuff? Because I'm sure, like, you know, when you use it yourself, you don't say, "Oh, I need the right now."
The null coalescing operator. Well, when you
Yes,
when
as I said.
when new language features come out, I read the documentation.
Okay.
And also doing and also looking at the syntax trees and such. So because if we say like I'm just
Okay, fair
doing
enough.
something here, I think this should also. Oh no, okay, no. In C# lang, it's called question token. Okay.
Fair enough. Question
But
token. I'll remember that actually. Question
question token. But
Easy.
from the how the language feature is called, it's the question mark is the null coalescing operator. There's an example. Basically here, the null coalescing operator. There's also a null coalescing assignment, which is actually the thing that we want to use here. Ooh, I forgot about the null coalescing assignment. So we can shorten this into, can we?
Oh my god. Can we just get the test
You know what?
working first?
Yes, you're right. I'm losing
I mean, this is
myself.
really fun, but
Yeah. We would sit here forever.
yeah. This is why he's already exhausted and I'm still like kicking because like yeah, this is sort of like way out of my way out of my depth. I write the if
Project
loops and I'm
test
already struggling with that. So
already part of the project. Okay.
Mhm.
Why? Okay, it's already part of the project, but that's good, isn't it?
So sorry, what's part of the project?
I'm not sure where it's failing. Our project under test is already part of our workspace.
Okay.
Where are we
Do we
failing?
not get a new workspace at the beginning though?
We fail here. Ah, yes, because that's the issue. We have a workspace, and we then use the same workspace to load the same project again. So I
Okay.
guess
So
we
we
need a
just
new
need.
workspace.
Why can't we? No, but also can't we just use original project? No.
Yeah.
Will it?
No. Because the
No,
original
because that
project,
will literally take it. Okay.
the original project is before it has been manipulated. And what we need for assertion is the project after manipulation.
No, but when we load it for the second time. Ah, okay. I think I got it
Oops.
because we load it for the second time because we are actually manipulating it and using it in the globalizer.
So
Okay.
yes, so this is the original one. Now
Yeah.
what the code in here does is basically creating another one. I call it project one, and it manipulates it. And now we want to, because we don't get a handle out of this method to this manipulated project, so we load it again. Now the manipulated project. So basically what the production code does here should be the same project that we get here again. But we already have in the workspace the original project, and now can't load the same project again.
Okay, but we can just go workspace.project, right? No.
No, because we need a new workspace, because our original project is already part of that workspace. So we
Of
can't
that workspace.
reuse the same workspace that we loaded the original project in to load the manipulated project again in,
Gotcha.
because it's the same project name. This causes issues now. We can only have, this is like in a solution. In a solution, we can't have the same project name or the same project in twice. Every project in here in the Solution Explorer is its own project. So we can't have it in twice.
So we need a new workspace.
And yeah, now with a new workspace, this could work. But now making sure that the changes that we apply are on the original workspace, not on the manipulated workspace, because I think this could mess up things as well. Again.
Oh no.
What do we need there?
I have one more
This
question.
turns green though.
Okay. But have we ever gotten the original? Because when we first ran the test and it globalized all the usings, how do we get them back? I can't remember getting them back.
Because
was it just
like restoring it?
Yeah. How did we restore it?
Because we do have we still have the original project here.
But but that was when we ran it again, right? Because when we originally had the issue where they were gone,
yeah,
then we just added this. Okay, we need an original project. We
yes.
need a thingy, but we never actually.
I reverted the changes.
Oh.
Off screen already. So
Good job.
that was
fair enough.
I didn't tell that. So now the solution, our project, our project on the test is now in its original state.
Nice.
And we can run it.
Nope.
When we click one. And it should stay quite green.
Nice.
Well, it does. It looks green. Let me run it from the test. Let's run all of the tests. But we don't have, damn it, we do have changes. Okay, and the restoring quite did not work. Do we maybe need to use the manipulated workspace? Because maybe we need the new workspace to apply the changes to. Let's give that a try. But then it's a different workspace. I'm not certain. Okay, this is hardcore stuff.
Yeah. So sorry for everyone who joined now. This is very deep into the rabbit hole. Welcome.
Oh, did I run the wrong quest? Globalizer, this one.
I would want to run all of them. Oh, but of course the counter we said.
Right, because the changes have not been applied. It can't apply the changes if we use the manipulated workspace, but if we use the original workspace, it doesn't work either. So maybe this does not work as I intended to. I guess I need to do some homework on how to correctly restore the original project. But this is basically the last thing that we have on the plate.
Well, and what?
Yeah, the thing is now, well, the test
Did it just
passes, but
pass?
if I go to the Explorer, we actually have manipulated files
No,
here.
yeah, fair enough.
So it doesn't
Okay. It doesn't really
correctly
restore.
restore. I was hoping the restoring was working. Well, I guess what we could technically do is storing all the texts of the documents and then doing some manual file
Okay, but that's like a
overwriting. But
last
that's,
resort because that
yeah.
sounds like something that I would do, and we don't want to, resort to that
Well,
if we don't have to.
I,
Okay, so
I
but
could do that too.
like you what? Okay, fair enough. We have the new line issue with the counter
Indeed.
integration test, and we have this as well. And I don't actually quite understand. I mean, I understand that it's not the intended outcome, but I kind of got confused with the different workspaces and projects and everything, to be completely honest. Just get
Original.
David on the show again. Maybe
Yeah.
we can just ask him to sort of like watch and help us in the comments if he doesn't want to come on live. That would be funny. Like how like a phone, like phone a friend when you're in a quiz show.
Yeah.
Just like have like a red phone for David. Be like, hello.
Don't even need to dial. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We need that.
What time is it in Australia at the moment?
I have no idea.
Because David is in Australia and he's like Roslyn
It's quite early.
master.
It's
Okay.
quite early. So
Wow.
it's, I guess, for breakfast, a little live coding.
Sounds splendid.
Okay, so we have to do for a future episode, we will create a branch for that code and commit that and then pick that up in the future.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks.
Cool.
Thank you guys so much for your help and like for staying alert and like catching us on our little mistakes and everything as well. Like I'm really, really impressed with today's crowd. You were amazing. Yeah. Thank you for your help.
To answer the last question, so is our tool extension for automating using extraction to global usings? Yes, this is exactly what we're doing. So one part is counting the usings that we have, and the other part is actually globalizing them. So if we run the globalizer, we have our tool called using. Let me zoom in that it's in one line. Using global system. Now we globalized 6 system usings into this global using.cs. And this is now what we see. So in all of the documents, the using systems have been gone and moved into a global using.cs. As a global using. This is exactly what our tool does. Yes. But our integration tests are not perfect just yet, but they will be. They will be.
Yeah. We're only on episode, what, 11?
12.
12.
I think.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay, so when, speaking of next time, when are we going to come back? And do you also want to give like a little sneak peek of what we're going to do?
Sneak peek, yes, definitely. Because next episode will be in almost 2 weeks. So in 13 days on the Wednesday, the 19th of July, at the same time, both YouTube and Twitch. And well, we will, oh, that was too early. And we will not.
Yeah, sorry.
on the 19th, we will not continue these issues just yet. We'll put them on a branch and we'll pick them up in a future episode. What we'll be doing next time is, because our actual tool is quite working, we want to get out the preview, perhaps not the full first public, fully supported release, but maybe a first preview, a first pre-release. So because I want to actually use the tool, because our unit test is super green, we may have some bugs. Our integration tests are not there yet, but want to use it and create some, explore it. What's the called? Like, yeah, maybe try to break it with actual live projects. And for that, we need to deploy it. And we would like to use the tool Nuke, not only because the website, if we refresh it, gives this.
Oh, that's so cool.
I want to do it one more time.
I'm already sold. Yay!
You know what? Third time's a charm. Yes.
Woo! Love it.
Oh no, I had enough. And this will be helping us because, well, our project is hosted on GitHub, so we will use GitHub pipelines in order to automate the testing and building of our project and putting it on NuGet.org. But for that, we could write XAML workflows. But I don't like SAML. No, not SAML. YAML. My bad. I don't really like YAML. I like C# code. And Nuke allows to basically write our pipelines and in general our build automation in just plain C# code. We will write C# code to automate testing, building, publishing, maybe also later on more advanced steps such as creating code coverage reports and mutation testing and all of the stuff. And we want to automate this via C# code. And we will have a special guest helping us in building Nuke. And we have the creator of Nuke actually on our show on the 19th, Matthias Koch.
Yay! It's going to be a great episode. I actually can't wait. Yeah, it's all going to be completely new to me. But yeah, I'm honestly really, really glad that he's joining us, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're free, definitely stop by. I think it's one of those episodes where everybody can kind of learn something, whether you followed us along or not. So yeah, and also if you would like to follow us and follow sort of if you want to if you're not saving the date right now, if you want to get like a reminder of what's coming up when we're streaming again, what we're streaming, then definitely follow us on LinkedIn because we always post there before we do a stream, so you know where and when and what and how. And also you can use this platform to interact with us because we love it. I know if you have suggestions, if you have comments, if you just want to reach out, if you want to come on the show and build something with us, totally follow us, message us, do whatever you want. And that's it, I believe. Thank you guys so much for joining. It's been a pleasure. I learned a lot. Have you learned something, Stefan?
Oh, yes. What have I learned? Well, definitely I learned how
Wow.
not to restore. I learned how not to restore C# projects and that line endings are always hard.
Great. That's a
And
good
I will
one.
never get them. I will never get them right. Not in this life.
Line
at
ending
least maybe next life.
land was the least fun of all the lands that we visited today. I have to agree with that. But yeah, we hope like you learned something as well. And thanks again for joining. See you next time.
We'll be back.